Everyone has that memory that will always stay in their mind. No matter how hard you try, it will never leave. It replays over and over in your head. You can't get it to stop. Good or bad, it's with you forever. This is my memory. I woke up one morning expecting a fun, exciting day to come. One filled with laughs, smiles, and memories. I was thinking about how fun the day was going to be, but all of a sudden, something tragic happened. No one ever imagined it would, but it did. We started our day off with a nice, home-cooked breakfast. We giggled as my little cousin made jokes about how ridiculous we looked in our cowboy boots. Everyone was conversing about how the day would play out and what to expect. My mom lectured us on how important it was to stay hydrated out in the sun, so we grabbed some water and headed out the door. When we arrived, I was amazed about how beautiful the horses were. The owner told us to go find a horse we liked, while my Meemaw and Mom filled out the safety paperwork. I circled the ranch about 3 times before I made my decision. They were all so gorgeous and well-behaved, I couldn't make up my mind. Finally, I came to the decision of which horse I wanted to ride. Before we went out on the trails to ride, we test rode them in the circle. It was my first time riding a horse by myself, so I was a little nervous. I soon became used to the feeling, and I was ready to get out and ride. We all got on our horses and followed the ranch owner. I remember how beautiful the scenery was out there. It was spectacular. Not long after we started our ride, Meemaw's horse spooked. We were all frightened as we watched her try to get him under control. Finally, she did, and we then continued our ride. Meemaw's horse spooked again, but this time she couldn't get him under control. He was going crazy, bucking, spinning, and full-on running. All of our horses got scared and started moving. I thought to myself, what if all our horses started doing that? I suddenly got really scared. We all watched as Meemaw got thrown off her horse into a huge pile of rocks. I was so shocked I didn't even know what to do. All I wanted to do was get off my horse and see if Meemaw was okay. But I wasn't able to. We had to keep riding our horses back to the ranch so we can get to our car, as Meemaw was taken to the hospital. The ride back felt like a lifetime. A million thoughts were racing through my mind as my mom told us all to be calm. We later reached the ranch and hopped into our car. We weren't allowed to go to the hospital because they had to get Meemaw stabilized before we could visit her. We returned back to Meemaw's house, and my mom told us to go swim so she could have some time to herself. I was thinking, how could I go swimming when I was so worried about Meemaw? Finally, we got to visit her in the hospital and heard the news. 8 ribs were broken, her clavicle, scapula, a collapsed lung, and a ruptured spleen, which put her in critical condition. My little brother was very confused as we walked in the room. He was speechless. He had never seen Meemaw in that condition. We all didn't know what to expect. After 3 weeks in the hospital, she came home. We used to see her as the tough Meemaw, but then she was so fragile. She slowly started getting better and is now back to the old her, but stronger. She now works out 5 times a week to keep her muscles and bones strong and her cardiovascular in excellent condition. This memory will always be in my head. Even when I'm a grandma, I will never forget it. It made me realize that tragedies can happen to anyone. It could even happen to you and I.